Hi there. Thank you for tuning in to Grow Your Gifts. Today, I would like to talk about the 5 agreements. Um, there's a book called The Fifth Agreement. I think it's by Don Jose Ruiz, Don Miguel Ruiz, and Janet Mills. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong, sorry. And previously, how I learned about this was years ago when I came across the book, The 4 Agreements. And in a nutshell, it's to help alleviate that sort of needless suffering. So, yes, pain and suffering is part of the package. We all know that as soon as we're born. It's just a constant roller coaster, right? Up and down we go, round and round the merry-go-round. Um, and that's just a part of life, I guess. Growing pains. So hopefully we're gaining something, you know, out of all that suffrage as well. Hopefully. Um, but yeah, needless suffering is something else. And I've talked about this before with, especially school-aged children, preteens, teenagers, that there is an easy way and there is a hard way. And with myself, for the bulk of my 20s, is, there's always that group of children who are like, let me see if the stove is hot, even though my mom and dad said, no, don't touch it, it's hot. Oh, but I got to see for myself. Basically, everyone does that because it's part of the human journey in my perspective, my limited perspective. So you touch it and you're like, oh, that is hot. I burnt myself out and now I'm crying. That sucks. And but there's always that group of us, and I say us because that was probably me. I mean, I didn't do that directly, but that's been my journey in a nutshell. Before 2020 was, oh, that's hot. Oh, maybe it's not. Let me try again. Oh, that's hot. Oh, maybe it's not. Let me try. Oh no, that's hot. And I love giving that example to older children too, because it's like, and we've all done this with different things. Maybe it's just a lack of focus or mindfulness or something, and we don't mean to, you know, dig ourselves a pit of despair and keep falling into it. That's not our plan at all from the get-go, but it keeps happening. So it takes a certain amount of work, let's face it, hard work, to get to the bottom of it, uncover, unravel, and try to figure out, well, what is at the root of this? What was the root cause? Why do I keep repeating this pattern? Because you start to see that there is a pattern here. And there's patterns that are positive, that help us, that, reflect our own true nature. And there are patterns that are negative and don't help us and kind of reflect that which we don't want to look at usually. And we just want to bury and, shove in a box inside another box and never look at it again. So those patterns seem to keep coming up unless we choose to start to look at it. So that was my way of saying there's a difference between just regular suffering and like needless suffering. I'll get more into that as we go along, I guess. But I just wanted to break down these 5 agreements and my experience with them, and just kind of summarize like what each one has meant to me. With the 5 agreements, I really love too that online you can just type it in and go to the images and they give you a nice little visual summary, and like different ones you can see which ones you're drawn to and everything. And again, it's not about the people who wrote the book. Don't shoot the messenger, all of that good stuff. I don't know them. And people are people, right? So I'm not endorsing anyone or saying don't listen to anyone. I'm the same way with myself. I'm just here. And kind of giving a message, and it's not about me. It really has nothing to do with me, and it's not what I care about. So when I break down needless, what does that mean to me? What do I need? Well, I don't need people to like me. I don't need people to hate me either. So, if I'm around people who clearly are not treating me well or being nice to me, people I'm not related to, that I don't have intimate relationships with, people, just people, I just dance away, dance towards someone else, maybe. And whatever metaphor you want to use, float in, float out, you know. So it's up to you what kind of energy you want to surround yourself with. It really is up to you. It's part of your energetic environment. Again, I'm not talking about your immediate family. I personally feel, that's a whole other bag of cats, so let's not go there. But I love my family, and I work hard on my family relationships. It's very important to me. But it's, understandably very different for everyone. So that is your bag of cats, okay? And I've got my own. So again, back to what I need and I don't need. I need shelter, a roof over my head, safety, relatively, mostly, feeling safe every day, safe environment. I need clean clothes, access to clean clothes, a good washer and dryer. I need nutritious food. I need just nourishment for my mind, that type of thing, to be around people who are supportive generally. I need emotional stability. Most of these things, is what I give to myself, and I make sure to give to myself in some way or another. And I need, spiritual connection or upliftment or whatever you want to call it, that, I feel like I do receive through direct experience from the unseen world, whatever you want to call it. So it's real to me. And I know it's real. So I have that sort of foundation, and that kind of connects everything else. So when I go back to, okay, focus on what I need and what is needless suffering. And with all those things, I don't want to do my laundry all the time, but oh my gosh, it's so much easier than washing my clothes by hand. I'm aware of this. And I put my attention on those things, I feel, quite often, because that is my background. I don't experience Alzheimer's, all my body parts work, all these different things, that real life situations that people are struggling with, like really struggling with, and their loved ones around them. It just affects everyone. It's very difficult. So, my experience working with children with special needs and just various abilities keeps reminding me how much worse it could be. Not to say that they don't have their joys in their life and their sense of community and their support groups and everything. I don't want to put anyone in a box, but it's hard. It's very hard when you don't have all your faculties, or you don't have people understanding you because you speak another language, and you're labeled as autistic or whatever it is, and you're sensitive to this and they're not, or it's a lot. It's really, really a lot. And that is something, I try not to take for granted at all. And I'm super, super grateful for, having these my mind and my physicality and my not getting triggered every day emotionally like I used to. It's huge. These things are huge, huge, huge for me. Um, so I just say thank you. So let's start with the 5 agreements. Let's get in it. Number 1 is be impeccable with your word. So in a nutshell, that's, integrity, truth, and love. And to me, it's just very simple. I always try to look at the flip side. What's the flip side of not speaking in your integrity? Well, you're just talking smack, basically. You're just, maybe trying to find yourself, and maybe that's part of finding yourself. I don't know. But, we've all been there, and you learn to feel out what feels like you're coming from a truthful place for you. You're coming from a loving place. This feels like I'm standing in my integrity. Okay, that did not feel like I was doing that. Maybe I was gossiping. Maybe I was doing this or doing that. It's important, I think, not to judge yourself. And let me just start this by saying when I came across the 4 agreements, and I'm very scientific minded, what I did, because I'm a super nerd, I broke each one down. This is before I heard of the 5th agreement, but and I only focused on one at a time, and I just experimented with it, like, as much as I could. So when I was like, be impeccable with my word, be impeccable with my word, be impeccable with my word. What does that mean? How do I do that? Let me practice it with this person, with that person, like here, there, everywhere. It all came down to how I was talking to myself. Let's face it, it's, and we'll get to that too. So be impeccable with my word, and standing in my integrity really, to me, became more of a feeling, my inner compass, and more about, it's okay for me to talk about other people to other people if it's helping me process something that I've been experiencing that I'm struggling with. Most of the time I will journal it, and there's no need. I don't see it as, I'm talking behind someone's back. No, this is someone I trust, and they trust me, and we're talking in confidentiality, and we both know this, and I'm only trying to process what's been going on. Simple as that. And that's a completely different thing than, talking behind someone's back or things like that. So most of the time I learned that, if I really want to, have a problem, I need to go to that person and heart to heart, just open up and say, this is what I've been experiencing or what I've observed from my point of view at this current time and space, So practicing that over and over and over and over again, you start to get better at just communication. And filtering, like, what is it I'm really clearly trying to convey here. So most of the time, it's just being a good listener as well. So it's a back and forth, communication for me, I found, with being impeccable with your word. So the second one is don't take anything personally. Easier said than done. So that was a really tough one for me at the time. And this is like decades ago, don't take anything personally. It's like, I'm a person. How can I not take it personally? All of that. So there was a lot of pushback internally, a lot of like arguing with myself. And once I really got to the bottom of it, I won't bore you with the details. What it translated to me as was tapping into my own childlike wonderment and my own authentic humility. That the only way I learned, for me, like my personality, to not take things personally is come to accept that I don't really know anything. I mean, what do I really know? what is going on in that person's life? I don't know. What is stressing you out right now? I don't know. How are you talking to other people and exactly the same way that you're talking to me that I find offensive? I don't know. Most of the time, I have no idea. So that's where my authentic humility kicks in and says, you know what? It's okay not to know. Let me have some childlike wonderment about this. And try to be like, understand what's going on instead of like feeling attacked or feeling, offended or all of those things. Just try to understand what's going on and what is my role and what is my job. And most of the time I don't have to do anything, which is kind of awesome. So yeah, I just don't know how else to say it other than childlike wonderment. It's very interesting, and along the way I've learned so much about people's past and their childhood and their upbringing just by having that attitude of childlike wonderment. It like not taking it personally doesn't even come into the picture. It's like I'm not even really a person, all right? I am who I am. I'm gonna be someone completely different 5 years from now, probably. Who knows? My family might disagree, but that's how I see it. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. So basically ask and express. Express yourself, don't repress yourself. And ask. So to me, I got down to the nitty gritty of what does that mean, don't make assumptions. To me, that meant clearly what you want. What is it you want? Hema. Figure out your intention. Yes, I love breaking down words. So what is my intention? What is my intention here? Clearly. Ask myself. Get crystal clear. So yeah, again, as a super nerd, and also because this really has helped me time and time again, before I do anything, before I go anywhere, whether it's an outing with friends or I'm going to, a dancing event or I'm going to the temple, whatever it is, I always ask, what is my intention? Why am I doing this? And I get crystal clear. I get it down to 1 word and 3 words tops. Sometimes I do have to journal a lot and then I will condense it. But that's very rare. Usually it's like a bell tolls inside of me and rings true for me, and I say, yes, this is my honest, clear intention for why I am doing the Zumba class today. And when I keep that as my focus, and I remember that, but I'm also open and spontaneous and flexible, all that good stuff, float in, float out. I have a really enjoyable time. I feel like it anchors me, it grounds me, and that's just what has really worked for me with, don't make assumptions, is almost like there is a interaction, a guidance, a dance with, I don't know what, but it's really cool. I end up having like random conversations with people or meeting people I never thought I would meet. It's, not making assumptions translated to me back then is just don't overthink it. Just relax. But also be grounded and clear about, your heart center and what is it, that makes you feel safe and all that lower 3 chakras and as well as, the higher ones, because no one is responsible for, protecting your auric field except for you. So that's the first thing I would say is just, don't make assumptions, but also keep yourself relatively safe and understand the situations you're walking into and connect with your breath, all that good stuff. But then you kind of have to live and let go a little bit. As long as you, try to maintain that connection with your true self. Easier said than done, but it's a practice, right? So, yeah, lean with it, rock with it. Number 4, number 4 is always do your best. So yeah, that was a tough one for me as well back then. Coming from the perfectionist, uh, self-abuse realm, that was the pendulum swing. Going from I don't care about anything ever to I'm a perfectionist. So back and forth I went, this way and that way. How exhausting. So always do your best was another one that really tripped me up, when I just was like, okay, I'm focusing on this agreement and I'm just going to practice it and, play with it and see what works and see what doesn't and be a scientist. What does that mean? Always do your best. And I was like, oh, I can't do this. Doing my best is like hurting me. I'm physically tired and ouch, my muscles hurt and stuff. It's like, okay, maybe I'm not getting this. So I don't think I was, if that's how my body was feeling. Um, what it came down to for me was work and play. And this actually really irritated one of my coworkers working in the childcare center. She's like, no, I came here to work. Work is work. Okay, Hema? She said it nicer than that. I'm exaggerating. But something inside of her was like, how can this lady act like she's playing at work and saying that work is play and play is work? I don't think so. And so we had a nice little chit chat about it. And I think I've talked about this before too, that basically, I mean, if you're going to work, you might as well have fun. Sprinkle in a little fun. Everything is work anyway, so focus on what brings you joy from the things you have to do anyway, right? So that way I wasn't always checking my clock and the wall clock to be like, when is lunch, or what time is work over, and when's the weekend and all that. No, it helped bring me back to being in the present moment and focusing on my alignment or my spine, or how am I gonna what tone of voice I want to use with the kids, or what song I want to sing, or how that actually came about. And the example I gave my coworker, which was, it just came naturally, organically, was I became the class DJ. Oh my gosh, we started having so much fun, and somehow psychically, I don't even know how, whoever was working in the room, because sometimes we even have supply teachers, I would pick up on the kind of music they like. I wasn't even asking them. And then they were just like, that's my favorite song. How did you know? I was like, I don't know. It's like a channeling DJ. Who knows? But it was fun. It was really fun. I brought my what do you call those, wireless speaker, Bluetooth speaker, and yeah, and the kids had fun too. So we're not just working and dancing around the whole time. No, it's when it's appropriate to play that music, then I did, and it really helped with smooth transitions, and like happy teachers, happy kids. That's what I say. So yeah, our back was hurting, and it was a lot of lifting and bending and so many things with our wrists and repetitive actions, but you try to make the workday fun, not just the workday over. So that's what I mean, blurring the lines between work and play. So always doing your best, I guess for me, started translating to balance, knowing that everything is serious, but you can also have fun. So it's like serious fun. And it turned out to become about self-acceptance and, self-love and self-care. So that's what always do your best is for me. So number 5, the newest agreement, I guess it came out a while ago, but that was the book, The Fifth Agreement, is be skeptical and learn to listen. So yeah, I had a while to practice that one. That was fun. I was already pretty skeptical to begin with. Like, who are you? What are you doing here? Why are you here? What is your reason for being? I wouldn't say that to people, but inside I would be like, okay, what are you about? Huh? So I had no problem with question everything. And learn to listen. I mean, I did have a problem with, because how do you listen if you never stop, you know? So that took me a while. That not all communication has to be verbal. There's a lot of nonverbal communication, and bless the children, that's what they taught me. Especially working with infants for, like, I don't know, I think it was 2 or 3 years straight on a room of 10 infants, and always different ones because they're aging out to the next room. But wow, their level of like nonverbal communication, I mean, I had to raise myself to their level just to make sure they didn't outsmart me. So yeah, they really taught me about that. And there's so much to learn from infants. Um, so be skeptical and learn to listen. What that came down to for me was to question myself, actually. Since I was so good at questioning others, it's like, okay, let me actually question myself. Let me actually sit with this and ask myself, is this really true? Ask myself, is this really my intent? You know, and I think that is sometimes the toughest thing, is getting that really raw and vulnerable with yourself, and getting, you know, really just sitting with it. And the more you sort of sit with something that you know is like, maybe I'm not being totally honest with myself in this area, that's a hard one. That's a really hard one. So yeah, being skeptical and learning to listen. I mean, I've also learned over the years and practice and a lot of work on myself that I can only give others what, you know, I give to myself. So to me, it all starts with working on yourself and learning to genuinely love yourself. And from there, you know, the healing just gets on its way more and more, which I'm sure a lot of people by now have tons of experience with. And, you know, you go with it like with your own personality, with your own gifts, with your own strengths and everything. So yeah, this is the 5 agreements, and there has been many a times that I've been like, all right, screw this stupid agreements. Like, there's no magic cure. Ish happens, okay? This is a tough world sometimes, and like the most horrible things happen sometimes. And so agreements or no agreements, it's not going to help. So yeah, I've definitely gone through those phases. But I think what helps me now is understanding that, yeah, there's no magic cure. The school is not going to burn down. There's no apocalypse to get me out of doing any of my homework, you know, all of those things. So it's like a form of escapism, right? So whatever homework I'm being given, it's up to me to not delay on it, not distract, not deny it. What is it? Delay, deny, distraction. There was another one. Delusion. And not, you know, pretend and kid myself that, you know, this is not a real issue or problem or whatever it is. Pattern that no longer serves me or serves my highest self. And I just want to end this with a good visual from way back in the day. You know, going through counseling and different things like that, I got this very clear image that I was walking around in crutches, you know, just metaphorically, symbolically, emotionally more than anything. And my emotional crutches, along with my other toxic habits or whatever you want to call them at the time, they were helping me. So they did serve a purpose at the time, you know, with pain relief and other things. But these, you know, it's like, and then someone just walks along and says, hey, can I tell you something? I'm like, yeah, what? They're like, your legs are fine. You can walk, you know? I'm like, what? Say what? I thought I needed these crutches. Like, no, actually you don't. So, okay, on my own, I actually let go of one. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can walk. I could do this. I'm doing it. But I still wouldn't let go of the other, symbolically. And then over time, I choose on my own again to let go of the other crutch. And now I don't need any crutches. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm walking on my own. This is amazing. So, yeah, those emotional crutches like raging out and whatever else, like, um, and understandably, that it was like that, you know, those are not easy things to deal with at a young age when you go through some really dark experiences. So there's no need to go into a blame shame spiral downward, you know, anything, right? So another imagery, it's like someone, you know, just comes along and every now and then taps you on the shoulder gently and says, hey, what are you doing in that dark corner over there all by yourself? It's like, I have no light. I have no light. You have a light. Everybody else has a light. I got no light. And they're like, well, just look down here at your heart. What's that? And it's like, what? What is it? Like, it's a switch. You just got to switch on your own heart light. Cool. Like, that blew my mind. So this is all symbolically, metaphorically. But holy, those things like really blew my mind. But you know, at the same time, we have those experiences. It just doesn't happen overnight, and it goes back and forth, and it goes in like phases. And you know, if you're gonna chart it, it's like that, okay? It starts in the bottom and then slowly goes up, but it goes down and up and down and up and down and up. And hopefully at some point it starts to plateau a bit, or just steadily go up. And, you know, if I'm just at a calm and peaceful, safe kind of space internally, I'm happy. That's all I ask for. But yeah, the other stuff, there was another image that came to mind, but I don't recall. So that's okay. I'll end it here, signing off, and I wish you well.